I don't know about you guys, but I'm still pretty stuck on the Stranded special. As I mentioned in my previous theory review last week, we got a lot of really cool reveals in that episode, not just the big reveal about Pink Diamond, but a lot of background reveals too. In Pink Diamond's memory / Stevani's dream, we saw Yellow Diamond communicating with a bunch of yellow ships invading the planet below the Jungle Moon base. Yellow ships very much like the ones that we know Centipedal and her crew used to pilot, and we got confirmation that the gem that Yellow Diamond was communicating with on those ships, likely one of the captains of those ships, was a gem called Nephrite, all but confirming that Centipedal is a Nephrite gem. Not to mention that we got to see an entire second gem moon base, with both similarities and differences to the Earth moon base. And we got to see another colony world, that being the planet orbited by the Jungle Moon. Hence the title of this episode. To get out of the way right away, yeah, the title of this episode was very slightly clickbaity, as it does sort of imply that I was going to talk about a gem rebellion on the Jungle Moon planet. But simply put, I just don't think that that's what happened. However, I do think that there was a rebellion of sorts. The communication between Yellow Diamond and the Nephrite gem in Stevani's dream suggested that the invasion forces were facing resistance planetside. And I think I know exactly what kind of resistance they were facing. I think they were facing resistance, greater resistance than they expected, from the plant and animal life of the planet. And I have some pretty good evidence for this. Simply drawing from the flora and fauna on the Jungle Moon itself, I think I can prove that the invasion of this planet was just something that the gems couldn't handle. Now, admittedly, I am assuming that there were similar life forms on the planet as we saw on the Jungle Moon, which certainly isn't impossible. There are mechanisms by which something like that could have happened, by which similar life forms could have evolved on a planet and its moon, especially in a sci-fi setting like Steven Universe. Just keep in mind that I am making that assumption. That said, let's very briefly break down the timetable of when I believe this all took place, look at the behavior of the flora and the fauna on the Jungle Moon, and even a bit at the colony planet itself, and try to form a picture of what happened here all of those thousands of years ago when Yellow Diamond invaded this planet. It seems that the first stage in any planetary invasion is setting up a moon base, as Yellow Diamond was set up in a fully established moon base, giving orders to the ships heading down to the planet to conquer it. So obviously that's the first thing that would have happened. Her moon base in the Pink Diamond dream sequence looked pristine, so we can assume that it was relatively new, suggesting that the invasion itself commences pretty much as soon as the moon base is completed. We also know that this is Yellow Diamond's last colony before Pink Diamond was given the Earth. We get a pretty good look at Yellow Diamond's mural on this moon base, and she has the same number of planets orbiting her in her mural as she does on the Earth moon base mural. This means that even if we assume that the troubles that the gems faced on the Jungle Moon planet were equally great to the troubles that the gems faced on Earth, this invasion of the Jungle Moon planet likely began somewhere around 10 to 11,000 years prior to the events of the series. Obviously, this means that that moon base has been there a lot longer than any structure, any gem-made structure that we have ever seen on Earth. And yet, I did notice that despite the moon bases clearly being intended for use on moons, even if those moons have plant life, Yellow Diamond's Jungle Moon base was completely overrun by the local flora, whereas that's something that we simply don't see in gem structures on Earth. Even the Pyramid Temple, which was amidst a field of ridiculously large and prolific strawberry vines, was completely untouched and pristine inside. This doesn't tell us anything definitive, but it does suggest that perhaps the flora on the Jungle Moon and perhaps the planet below the Jungle Moon is far more invasive than the plant life on Earth, that it is capable of damaging and eventually invading gem structures. This would suggest that plant life on the Jungle Moon is perhaps more durable or in some way hardier and capable of growing in more locations than similar plant life on Earth. This could make it much more difficult to clear out for things like kindergartens or for establishing bases planetside. Which brings us to the fauna, primarily the blob-like creatures that Stevani encountered on the Jungle Moon. If similar creatures exist on the planet as well, I believe they could be a real problem for the invading gems, as I believe these creatures have the ability to mimic gem abilities. When Stevani is attempting to contact Lars on his ship, we do see a display on Yellow Diamond's console screen showing and seemingly assessing one of the blob bird creatures. During the couple of brief times that we actually see the creature, we see the blob bird replicate a spin dash ability and a floating ability, both known abilities of Quartz gems, some of the frontline soldiers in Homeworld's army. The blob bird also seems to identify Stevani as a threat, following them a great distance, seemingly leaving its habitat in order to pursue them. and attempting to chase them into the moon base, which certainly isn't part of its territory. Later, we even see that the beak of this blob-bird creature is capable of penetrating the glass dome at the top of the tower, something which not even the weapons on Lars' ship can do. Finally, there is the fact that the planet which the jungle moon orbits, while it is hollowed out, such that it appears that a colony was there, a colony that was further along than the Earth colony ever got. When comparing it with the projected model of the Earth colony, it just seems incomplete. Far less of the planet has been hollowed out than one might expect. Now, it's possible that this planet just didn't have as many resources as the Earth, but it's also possible that the gems just got tired of dealing with the plant and the animal life and decided to kind of do one last scoop up of any obvious resources that they could use and then leave. In other words, I think that the gems came to conquer this planet and were eventually driven away by this one species of animal. That the reason it was shown on Yellow Diamond's screen is that she was assessing it, trying to determine some way to beat it easily without wasting too many resources. And that she eventually just said screw it and left. I think that part of the problem was that these creatures learned from the gems who were attacking them, incorporating some gem abilities into themselves, which they then passed on to their offspring. In essence, I think that this cute thing, the adult form of this adorable little thing, is actually quite powerful and was, in fact, too much for the big bad Yellow Diamond to handle. And I just think that that's great. What do you guys think of this theory? Did I do a good job with it, or did I leave you feeling stranded within a jungle of logic? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below. Either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.